It's day 23. It's a Saturday morning. I'm about to spend, how many hours? 10, I think, 10 or 11 hours with 36 small children and the rest of the cast. God help me. I say at the end of most of these messages, if we're saved. I'm not religious, by the way. I'm just, it's something that I used to hear Sarah Kennedy say on the radios, on Radio 2 early in the mornings. Do you remember her? I wonder what she's doing. What are you doing, Sarah Kennedy? I was just having a think as I was getting dressed about this job, about being an entertainer, because it's a bit like being a cheerleader. I was suddenly thinking about the election that's coming up in, I can't remember what day it is now, but I think it's about 6 days away or 5 days away. And there's going to be people who are disappointed. It doesn't really matter what happens as far as the election results are concerned. There are going to be disappointed people, and some of them might be in the cast, and some of them will be in my audience and in the street, and you as well as I will encounter disappointment and anger and confusion probably, and well, the only thing we do know is that we're not sure who is going to be disappointed yet, and I've got entertainers in general. We've musicians, comedians, singers, we've got to somehow, I was going to say rise above that, but that makes it sound like it's unimportant or puerile or something, and I don't think that it is, but we do have to sort of stuff it to one side and get on stage or in front of a camera or whatever and help people to forget their problems and their worries and give them a laugh or move them or just entertain them generally. And that's sometimes hard to do when you're also reeling because you're worried about the state of the world or the NHS or train privatisation or the fact that you haven't lost any weight this year or whatever is going on. But you have to do it anyway. And my friend, Sarah, she's directing the Victoria Wood show, Sarah Louise, who you met on day 3. She introduced me to this very interesting question, which I share with my students on my training courses now. And it is, who is this for? So if you're doing a cabaret, you're doing a play, you're doing a pantomime, a question you can ask yourself is, who is this for? And there isn't one blanket answer, I don't think, for each gig that you do, for every gig that you do. And I don't think there is a right answer either. And it's not a trick question. A lot of my students look at me like, what answer do you want? But it's not actually a trick question, but I think it's a damn good question. Who is this for? And I think I probably spent quite a lot of my life thinking about myself in relation to being an entertainer and my ego and what I want and where I want to get to, fame, money, stardom, things like that. And as you get older, well, as I've got older, those things have become less important when you turn around and you realise that you've managed to stay with the same man for 16 years, or he's managed to stay with you, more to the point, for 16 years. And that is going to mean more than any round of applause in the world. Or that the feedback that you get from your students, from your training courses or the one-to-ones that you work on is suddenly much more important to you than a round of applause. That's interesting, that's curious. I'm confused by that. I wonder if rounds of applause mean less now, or they always meant this little, and it's just taken me a long time to realise it. Yeah, so I guess what I'm trying to unpack is the idea that I think what I'm trying to say is that for a long time this was about me. And I'm only realising in the last few years how little it's about me. And in some ways that's that's lovely and that's celebratory, and in others that's tremendously depressing because audiences don't do what you want or expect them to do always. Audiences have their own minds and make up their own, minds, and have their own opinions, and they sometimes don't like you or what you're saying or what you're offering, even if you have put a tremendous amount of work and effort into it. And the thing about live audiences is, well, and people that comment on YouTube videos and on Twitter and stuff like that, is that it's very immediate, the reaction that you get. I think I thought that was just about live entertainment, but actually it's not. It's about this online stuff as well. Because people are, very quick to jump on their keyboards now. And although we talk about Twitter trolls and people being unkind and it being wrong, or you wouldn't say that to someone in public, well, audiences, give me that sort of reaction, give all of us entertainers that sort of blank, bald reaction all the time. They always have done. I remember hearing some people talking about how disrespectful audiences are now. I think Benedict Cumberbatch had stopped a production of Hamlet and told some people off because of texting or using a phone or something. And it was just, when I found out this story, it was just about the same time I was reading about the history of music hall by a book, in a book written by John Major, of all people. Did you know that John Major's dad was a music hall performer? Yes, that John Major. And they used to throw not just tomatoes. I mean, we've all heard of people throwing tomatoes in old theatres. They used to throw bits of theatre at the audience. They used to be fucking on the balcony. They used to be fighting. They used to be drinking, swearing, screaming, and thinking, oh Christ, one little mobile phone going ping in the middle of Hamlet's nothing compared to a balcony collapsing on top of half the audience and the show continuing, which is what used to happen. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not suggesting we should go back to those days, but you carry on anyway. You carry on. The show must go on. It really annoys me, the fact that the show must go on, because often I don't want the show to go on. I want to just stop the show and go, well, if you're not enjoying it, then you can all go and fuck yourselves, quite frankly. I probably have done that in front of some audiences. In fact, I know I have. I'm thinking about one right now. If you see me do that to an audience, please drop a comment below and remind me which one you saw. I wonder how often I've done it. Right, so this really is a if we're saved moment, because 10 hours, 36 kids. Pray for me. Bye bye.